Hello everyone, I'm Jeff with Chockablock, and today I will be exploring Delta's crypto portfolio tracker for iOS. Real quick, Chockablock's mission is to help out those working with blockchain technology and cryptocurrency kind of develop better products, making sure that they're user friendly, and therefore have a higher chance of adoption with the next kind of wave of people that will be coming into the field and picking up and getting involved with blockchain and cryptocurrency and using tools and things that are leveraging that technology. The objective really of this video is to help the Delta team kind of look at their product through an outside pair of eyes. I am a relatively new user to this. I'll get into more about that in a second. But I also have about 10 years of experience doing user experience research and design. I have a background in human factors and applied cognitive psychology, which really deals with the study of how people think as they interact with technology. Now, normally when I go through these things, I try to do it in an unbiased way, meaning I have not actually interacted with the product before. I must put out the following caveat that I have interacted with Delta's mobile application before. I did this yesterday trying to record it. However, I ran into a bunch of technical issues that weren't necessarily related to Delta's product, more so like my ability to capture all the things that I was doing in order to set up the Delta cryptocurrency portfolio tracker. I had to kind of go into different things and get information so that I could set it up. So if I had continued recording, it would have been much longer of a video than necessary, and I really want to make sure that I hit on the main points quickly and succinctly so that Delta's team are able to kind of get as much out of it as they possibly can without having to sit there and watch me figure things out. So having that said, before I download the app and get started, I wanted to comment very quickly about Delta's website. The first thing I want to say is that they've done an excellent job presenting information in a very consumable way. A lot of times when I go to various websites for different tools and platforms out there, what I find is that the website, it doesn't convey exactly what the project is about or what the platform is about or the tool is about or what it is that they're up to. It takes a while to kind of really dig in and figure out what it's about. But here they have quickly stated at the top, this is the best Bitcoin, ICO, and cryptocurrency portfolio tracker everywhere. And not only do they, kind of place this very brief synopsis up there that explains what they're about, along with some pictures that help you kind of deduce based on other experience that you might have what they're about. They have these call to action buttons up here to get started immediately. Sometimes you have to dig through a website in order to find where do I go to download or get started. So I give them high praise on their ability to set up a very quick and easy interface for someone to kind of come to the website, understand what's going on, and get started. Further, as you scroll down, you get more information about the features within the product presented in a very clean and organized fashion. And so again, I'm very impressed with the overall layout, or I should say information architecture, the structure of information within an interface that they have put forth in their website here. So next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and download the Delta Crypto Portfolio Tracker onto my iPhone. I have already downloaded it once, so you can see that's available in my cloud. So I'm just going to go ahead and get that started. One thing I wanted to state as it's downloading is that typing in Delta into the search mechanism does not yield the result immediately. You have to type in the additional words Delta Crypto Portfolio, and then it will pop up, allowing you to actually find it. Just typing in Delta, you don't find the app that quickly. I'm gonna go ahead and open it up. And the reason I'm downloading it because I want to be able to show all the things that a user kind of has to deal with as they go through the setup. So the first thing it's going to ask me is Delta would like to send you notifications, and so I will allow that. So here we are on the landing page here, which is asking me to kind of get started and get my portfolio up and running. And so it says your portfolio starts here. We just need one or more transactions. Add your first transaction via the plus button below. So clean and simple, direct to the point, has the call to action plus button right here, ready for you to kind of start getting up and going. Now, when I first downloaded this yesterday, it took me a minute to kind of explore and figure things out. The one thing I want to say about this app is that it is very robust, and I don't mean that necessarily in a negative way. I kind of think of it like this: it's like a very large house with a lot of rooms. I found that the layout is fantastic, but it still takes time kind of going through all the rooms and figuring out where things are and how to go get what you need to do. And so that's one thing that any user it might have to come across is like a bit of time exploring and figuring out where things are. Sometimes what you can do is provide users with a quick onboarding tutorial when they first come to an app that guides them through and shows them where things are. Not everybody, will go through that tutorial. Sometimes, they'll skip out of it, so you must provide them the opportunity to skip out of it. But that can be very helpful for very robust applications with a lot of features, allowing a person to kind of come in and quickly get a tour and understand where things are. All right, so what I'm going to do is click through these buttons and just see what we got going on. Here, looks like we have some information regarding the market. Here is news is here. Make it yours. Create a personalized news feed by following coins you like. All assets in your portfolio are and will be followed by default. Okay, news is great. I love having news available to me. I will go down a news rabbit hole very easily. So this is actually kind of dangerous because I can get kind of addicted to news and just spend too much time reading. All right, here is notifications. No data. There's currently no data available. Once you start receiving notifications, they will appear here. And then here are settings. So the first thing you see in settings is this kind of, I guess you call it upselling, but basically, showing you that you can become a pro and some of the benefits of having a pro account, learn more, restore purchases. So one thing that I found when I first did this yesterday is I didn't quite get at first what limitations I had using this basic account. I wasn't told up front that, hey, you are using just the free account, and therefore there are limitations as to what you can do with it. And as you'll see later on, those limitations revolve around how many wallets you can add, how many portfolios that you can add. Whereas if you upgrade to the pro account, you're able to do a lot more with that and have more portfolios and wallets and stuff like that available. So you got a great layout here for settings, a lot of things. Again, like I said, it's like a bunch of different rooms and a very well laid out house. It just would take time for a user to kind of explore all that and kind of get an idea of the layout. Anyways, so I'm going to go back to this kind of home page here, and your portfolio starts here. We just need one or more transactions. Add your first transaction via the plus button. So you hit the plus button here. Add a manual transaction by searching for a coin, or add multiple transactions at once, connect to an exchange account, connect a wallet, or import CSV. So yesterday when I saw this, the first thing I thought about was, oh, this is kind of like how I did my crypto taxes last year. I had some software that I connected it to a bunch of my exchanges so all of my transactions could be imported, and then it spit out a number that hopefully the IRS likes. And so, I was used to that kind of thing, because I had done something similar with a previous bit of software. But I have found that, I guess any of those that have been really kind of working, with cryptocurrency or blockchain, those that are kind of involved in the space are aware of, the ability to leverage APIs to connect things and to share information. So those that are experienced, that's something that they might be used to doing. However, those who are new to the space and do not have that experience connecting to an exchange or connecting to a wallet, that might be very new to them. And so you have to make sure that they're going to have the right information presented to them so that they can understand what those steps are and what it means to do these various actions. So what I'm going to do first is connect an exchange account. So I'm going to click on that. And here we have a quick intro to connecting an exchange account. Before connecting an exchange account, there are some things to be aware of. I really like this. I found that they have, again, place information in a very nice, succinct way, very, basic clips of information regarding some specific, possibly frequently asked questions that people might have. I am curious how they came up with this list, if this is something that their team came up with on their own, or if they did any kind of like research or surveying about what people would want to see. Maybe they did some like usability testing or field testing where they got the app in front of some people, have them try it out, and these were things that were commonly brought up, and that's why they put it here. Either way, I like the fact that they have this information placed here. So I'm going to go ahead and hit continue. And here's asking me choose which exchange you'd like to connect. You can connect up to 2 different exchange accounts. Want to connect with unlimited exchanges? Become a pro. Now, as I mentioned yesterday, it took me a while to kind of pick up on this, like how many I was allowed to do. I don't know if I had noticed that immediately up front, but it might be something that you want to present to users as they first log in, saying, hey, you are currently using a free account. These are the limitations. And then, try to say if you want to be able to add more, this is, you got to upgrade to pro. So what I did yesterday is I added Bittrex to here, and I want to kind of go through what it took to get that set up, because that is important to see what it takes for a user to do that, given the fact that they're doing this on their mobile device. Some of the issues that can occur with a mobile device is that information that you might need to be able to add into the application on the mobile device has to be gathered from someplace else. And that information can be very large character strings, especially when it comes to wallet addresses, APIs, and things like that. And it's something that needs to be copied over to the device in a way that would allow or prevent a user from making an error. Typing in a wallet address or typing in an API key is something that would be prone to error if you were doing it manually. You're watching or looking at it on one screen and coming over here and typing it manually. So there has to be some way to easily move that information over to your mobile device so that you can then plug it in to the field where it's being asked for. So I'm going to go ahead and hit Bittrex here, and what it's asking me to do here is make sure to only select the view permission. We don't accept API keys that exceed this permission. Interesting. Okay. So they have a default here that says they have a safeguard, I should say, a safeguard, that if you put in an API key that is allowing more than just viewing, they won't accept it. I'm curious how they're able to tell that. I'm not a developer, so I don't know the details that go into such a thing, but I'm glad that they do that, which basically makes it so that this application won't have any other rights to the account other than to view the information. They don't have the right to buy or sell cryptocurrencies on the platform. They can just view the transactions. All right. So what I did yesterday is I opened up Bittrex. I'll go ahead and log in. Cars. I think it's enough cars. All right, so I need to use my authenticator code. So let me go to my Google Authenticator and find Bittrex. And I am in. Okay, so back to here. I think what I did was I accidentally hit add connection when I was swiping over to get to that information. So accidentally hit that, but easily able to get out of that error right there. So what I need to get here is the API key and the API secret. So let's imagine that I am a user who's very new to this stuff. I thought I had this thing on Do Not Disturb. I guess not. So let's say I'm a user who is very new to this stuff, and I'm not quite sure what they mean by an API key or an API secret. Delta has done a fantastic job of having instructions for how to do this right within the app itself. So this is very important, helping those who are beginners figure out what they need to do. And it's done in a very discreet way. They have those instructions there, so it's not overly invasive and taking up time, or presenting itself to people who might be in a more advanced or expert level that don't need to see this information. So Bittrex instructions, here's how to set up an automatic Bittrex connection. You go to the website, go to settings, and select API keys. So I'm going to go to settings. Actually, let me make that a bit bigger. Settings, and it's default to API keys. Now, in post-production, what I'm going to do is put a censor bar over that, so none of my personal information is being shown. And this is one of the issues that I was dealing with yesterday, is that there's a lot of my own personal information that I had to use in order to set this up, and I was having problems figuring out how to best kind of make it work, but also in a way where I could go back and easily censor it out. So today, instead of going through this whole process of adding a new key and getting all that information, which is going to require me to have to, do more censoring, I'm going to reuse the API information that I gathered yesterday. But I need to describe how I was able to get that API information to this phone. Because as I said, when you're doing things that require multiple devices, there's got to be some way to move those kind of large character strings from the device that you're gathering them from onto the mobile device. And the way that I do that quite often is just sending it to myself via iMessage. Might not be the safest way to do it, but that's just, how I do it. So what I will do is go back to my messages on my phone and grab that information. So here you can see where I had sent it to myself, and then what I did was I copied it, I placed it into the text box here so I can get easier access to the actual strings here. So let me go ahead and copy that. Okay, so now I have the API key that I gathered from my Bittrex account, as well as the API secret. I used iMessage on my computer to send it to myself, so I could then manually, not in a true manual form, but basically manually paste it in to the fields here. And so one thing that could cut down on time here, because that took me some time yesterday. This is not, showing the true magnitude of what it took me to do that yesterday. I had a lot of problems with Bittrex actually showing it. I've had that problem before where I'm trying to add a new key and it just for some reason won't show the information. I don't know if it's an issue with the Safari browser or if it's an issue with Bittrex, but it took me several tries to actually get that information to be presented to myself so I could copy it and bring it over here. I don't have any, flushed out suggestions on how to make it better, make it faster to do that. Again, user experience is about providing a user with a path of least resistance between themselves and the objective they're trying to accomplish. Here, the objective is I need to get that information here. But maybe it's possible to kind of log into your Bittrex account through the application, making it easier to kind of just copy and paste those things into the phone directly. Perhaps I could have gone to Safari on my phone and logged into Bittrex and done it. However, I find that, sometimes the mobile version of a particular site is not as user-friendly as doing it on a desktop. Anyways, if you can figure out a way to make it faster for people to get into their Bittrex or whatever Exchange account so that they can copy those API keys and secret API keys and secrets into the application, then that would cut down on the time needed to do so. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and hit done. And additional options. Import withdrawal deposits, so you can open that up. Import past transactions. So these are additional options of choosing what you're going to be importing into the phone once you do so. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and add connection. All right. So Bittrex is now in my main portfolio. So if I go back here, your portfolio starts here. Where's my portfolio? I'm curious about where my portfolio is. So if I was a user, first time doing this, I'd probably click around wondering what is this portfolio. If I click here, you got markets. If I click here, news, notifications, settings, back here. Where's the portfolio? I don't know where the portfolio is. It took me a while yesterday to realize that you have to drag it out here. So I click on that, main portfolio. Why is it not connecting? Or showing up? All right, so maybe I need to add a new key or something. Why is it not allowing me? Why is it not importing that information? Yesterday it did just fine. Pain in the ass. Okay. It's also allowing me to come back and redo Bittrex. All right, I'm gonna try it again. Though I have one already set up, that information is not provided here saying, hey, you already have one set up, or preventing me from doing Bittrex again. But then again, maybe you can have multiple Bittrex accounts. Maybe you want to maybe have like your wife's or something that you want to add in here. Or your husband's or your significant others or anybody's. You just want to be able to add multiple Bittrex accounts. But all right, I'm going to try this again. I'm going to go through the whole process here like I did yesterday. I wasn't expecting that I would have to do this, but we're going to try it. So I'm going to go ahead and click Add New Key. I want it to have read only info, and then I'm going to hit Save. Now I got to put in my authenticator code, so I go back to that. Did I close out of it? Oh, damn it, I accidentally hit Add Connect again. You can probably hear my dog snoring downstairs. Bittrex 309 335. Okay, so it's showing me the key and the secret right away. Yesterday I had issues with this, showing up. I'm gonna do the same thing I did yesterday. I'm gonna go ahead and copy this. I'm gonna go to my messages. Paste it in. Send it to myself. All right, now I'm gonna go back to the Bittrex main page so I don't have to keep editing that out. All right, so back to here. Go to my messages. Got this new guy here. Let me get rid of all this stuff. What I'm going to do is copy this, put it in here so I can more easily access the key and the secret. I'm going to go ahead and copy the key. Go ahead and copy the secret. And add a connection. All right. So now let's go back to the portfolio and see if it does anything. All right, so it hasn't added it in. Yesterday, it added it in just fine. Let's see if it has anything to do with the fact that I have a VPN on. I don't know. Well, yesterday when I did this, it added it in okay, and it brought up all of my account information. I don't keep a lot on any exchange, nor should anybody. But it didn't bring up what I did have on there, and it was placed within the portfolio here. What happens if I exit out of all of this, come back and open it up? Nope. Okay, it has them both here. You're currently connected with 2 exchanges out of 2. Want to connect with unlimited exchanges? Become a pro. Alright, so I went through the instructions for adding the Bittrex exchange. I did it twice, and it's not showing up in my portfolio. I have read information on for it. I mean, yesterday when I went through these steps, it did work. I don't know why it's not working now. It says it's connected, however, no information is showing up here. Okay, so just hit reset connection. It's still not showing up. Why? This was not the case yesterday. Now, if I was a user, this is my first, well, I am a user, but if I was, like, someone new to this, and this happened, this would be a deterrent, man. This would prevent me. I don't get it. Why isn't it working? Whatever, I'm going to move on to another thing in my day. Okay. So let's try something else. You can connect a wallet. So here's another thing that I was having issues with yesterday, is trying to connect a wallet. You go through and hit continue. You can choose what wallet you want to connect. And let's say I want to connect a Litecoin wallet. Click on Litecoin, and you get here. like my wallet, main portfolio, public wallet address with a camera. Now, when I saw this, I'm thinking, oh, cool, you'll be able to scan a QR code, public wallet address. Now, I made the dumb assumption that what they're talking about was just the wallet address. And I actually did a bunch of research after this yesterday, and it seems like a lot of people make that mistake. But once you understand that there is a huge difference between the public wallet address and just the wallet address, that, you won't make that mistake again. But what I ran into a problem with yesterday was trying to get access to that information on my Ledger Live account using my Ledger Nano S. So the first thing I had problems with was getting that up and running. That was going to be problems on my main computer, and so I finally switched over to my laptop here. Then what I did was I scanned my wallet address, and it plugged in the information. It didn't give me any feedback that this was the incorrect piece of information. I hit add connection, and I went back to my portfolio, and it just wasn't adding in the information. And so I was like, what the fuck is going on? Why is it not doing that? And again, I went and did some more research and found, okay, you're being a big fat dummy. There's a difference between the public wallet address and the actual wallet address. Again, if you are kind of a newbie, you might not know that. And so my suggestion to the Delta team here is to put information in here explaining that there is a difference, and perhaps even doing the same thing that they did with the exchanges in terms of showing them instructions on what to do. Have that available here so that you can open it up and be like, okay, that's what I need to go get. So what I'm going to try to do now is, now that I know how to get into my Ledger Live account and get the actual public wallet address, I'm going to see what happens when I port that information over. So let me open that up. Type in my password. Go in. And what I want to do is go to Litecoin. And that information, if I remember correctly, is underneath this little wrench. And you go to Advanced Logs. And here you can find your public wallet address. Now, it's not presenting this in a QR code, which would be fantastic in terms of like the usability. Again, providing the path of least resistance. If I can just hit that camera button and scan a QR code and boop, information gets plugged in, that's a fantastic user experience. Quick and easy, allows me to get to my objective. The problem is that I don't know how to get a QR code from this particular platform. It took me long enough just to figure out there's a difference between a public wallet address and like your normal wallet address. You guys watching probably think I'm an idiot. Just unexperienced with that, I guess. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to try copying and pasting this the same way I did with the Bittrex API. I'm going to run it through iMessage so I can get to my phone easily and plug it in there and see what happens. All right, so I'm going to go in here. I'm going to highlight that. Copy it here. Go back to Delta. Paste. Done. Import past transactions. Add connection. Invalid address. It's not a valid Litecoin address. But it is. How is it not? maybe that's not the right part of this. See, again, having instructions on knowing what to copy, what a public wallet address looks like, would be very important to provide people so they know what that looks like, so they can know what to grab. I'll try this other one here that could possibly be an address. What I find really interesting is the fact that, like, when I scanned the QR code of my wallet address, that worked just fine. It loaded it. It seemed to accept it. But with this one, it immediately tells me this is not a valid address, despite the fact that it's actually, I think, what they're looking for. And let me show you what I mean by that. Let me get rid of all this stuff and go back to this and actually bring up my wallet address. To do that, I gotta open up with my get into it with my Nano. Okay, so what I'm going to do here is I'm going to open up the camera. I'm going to scan it. So that's done very quickly. Enters that information in there. And if I hit done, add connection, I don't get any warning messages, despite this being the wallet address, not the public key. I'm going to go to my portfolio. Nothing's being added in here. So yeah, I'm not sure. I mean, I don't see why it would add anything in there to begin with, because that's not the right piece of information, and it didn't add anything in there yesterday. There was information in the portfolio because it did connect to the Bittrex exchange, and so that's what I was looking at, was the Bittrex information. But yeah, I don't know, man. Bittrex isn't working, and it's allowing me to connect a Litecoin wallet, though I'm putting in the wallet address, not the public key. Yeah, I'm not sure. I'm going to have to go ahead and turn off the recordings and try to do some more troubleshooting. But this is a bit problematic. If it takes this much effort to set this stuff up, despite there being a lot of great features in here to help with the usability and make things faster, if it takes this much effort, like, people don't get frustrated. I'm frustrated. I'm frustrated because I thought I had figured it out yesterday and was like looking forward to making a video where I was able to get through it quickly and smoothly today. Nope. I'm not sure what's causing this to not update this information, but it's not presenting the information from Bittrex despite being connected to it through the API. It's accepting a wallet address for Litecoin, but not the public address, or at least what's being presented to me from Ledger Live as a public address. Excuse me, the public key. So yeah, I'm going to have to go ahead and turn everything off and do some troubleshooting and see if I can figure it out.